Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Jackson Hearth. Today, we're going to be starting a very long, probably what this channel is really going to be about, tiny living and how to go from maybe a 2,000 square foot home, maybe down to three or 400. So, really, what a tiny house is, it's under 400 square feet. Now, this is something that I'm very passionate about as I did downsize about 2 years ago down to my house is 280 square feet. But I will go in detail. We're going to start with this today. We're going to look at tiny living. I want to ask you a couple of questions and bear with me while I get my screen up because I do have. So, again, this is the introduction to tiny living. This could be anything from a tiny house on wheels to tiny shed conversion to a yurt, uh, anything that really is under, um, I believe it's 400 square feet. I have to check that because each state has different rules when it comes to tiny houses and tiny living. But this is going to be your introduction. And today we're going to be looking, this is the off-grid home, but I want to use it and I've read it. It's a wonderful book. It's great. And I do recommend you pick it up. It has some great ideas for your tiny living. And while it is mostly written for off-grid, there are a lot of great information when it comes to living tiny on how to do things from your electricity to um, how to set up your home, what to use for heat, what to use in the summer, and different things like that. But today, I wanted to start by looking at a couple of things here and asking really some questions for you. Um, and it can be really time consuming and it can be very, very interesting as well. I love it. So, first, I want to read something to you. Again, I'm reading from the book. So you can see the book. That's the cover of the book, and it's by uh, Kimball Hildreth. I've actually been in talks with him, emails and things. He's a great guy. The book is wonderful. I've read it a couple of times to get some ideas. Now, since I've been living in my tiny house for coming up on 4 years now. So, but in this introduction, I kind of want you to have a image in your mind. I want you to think about this. I want you to picture it. If you have to, close your eyes, listen to this, and I want you to imagine that you are 100% debt free in 8 years or less. This means owning not only your home, your small home, but also your land. Imagine working part-time so you can travel more, have the time with others and your family. I want you also to imagine having to spend less on utilities. I also want you to imagine building your own sustainable living, which, from building your small house to having small electricities to having small, a little water count. All of this is going to be for affordability, really. But I also want you to imagine yourself helping others to do this as you have done. And most importantly, I want you to imagine empowering your kids to live differently. This is a different way of living. It's a lifestyle. Tiny living, people have romanced it, and it is wonderful. I love it. Like I said, I've been doing it for 4 years, but there are some issues that come up, and we will deal with that in a later video. But today, I just want you to imagine empowering your children to think differently than society is teaching them. But also, I want you to imagine restoring your local community. Because living tiny is not just for you. It's a community that can be really involved in this. Um, it can really evolve into like-minded people. It could change. It could make housing um, more affordable. But before we get into all of that, I want us to look at some questions. So, the first question is, are you able to truly afford a good home to call your own? Answer this maybe to yourself, talk about it with your spouse, your kids. This is a very important question, and this is going to do with the why you want to do it or why you are doing it, and why tiny living might be for you. Number number two is could you take off work now for a recharging trip with your family for a few days? Could you afford to take off? Could you afford to miss work for a couple of days, maybe as long as a week, um, to be able to go recharge yourself, get your energy back, spend time with your family? Could you do that? The next question, are you out of debt and feeling good about your future? Now, when we talk about out of debt, we're talking about all kind of debt. I will exclude um, school debt because that's a lot of people have school debt and loan debt. But are you mortgage free? Do you own your home? Do you own your land? Do you own your car? Are your medical bills paid? Are you debt free and feeling good? Are you free from worry about the rising cost of rent, groceries, education, and healthcare? And this one really because as we know today, all of those things are skyrocketing. So are you worry free? Our last question for you. Do you feel like you own your future or does someone else? And by this is that do you feel like you have the ability to schedule? Do you have that ability to really feel free? Do you have the ability to um, not worry about if you miss this or that meeting? Or do you have the ability to say, well, are you working at, and I like to ask the question is, are you working for you? Or are you working for someone else? You could still be working for someone else, meaning a large corporation, but you could still be working for you and not really having to worry about everything else. Um, Now, this last question is my probably my favorite question to ask. And I really want you to take this question serious, and I'll give you my answers to these. Are you free? Meaning, are you free? Do you feel free? Are you free to take the time off? Are you free to go on a vacation? Are you free from worrying about having to buy groceries, having to pay utilities, having to pay your health care? Are you free? Or are you still enslaved to a system? Now, I'm gonna so thank you. So I want you to go back and let's go back to the first question because I want to go over these answers with you on what I said is truly are you able to truly afford a home to call your own? Now this one for me 4 years ago would have been a no. But now I can say yes because I took a shed and I'll in the next videos there will be some pictures, but I took a shed and I converted it to my home. So yes, I am. Now I'm just looking for land. I was able to pay monthly for the ownership of my building, so it's like a rent to own kind of thing. And the payments were, well, let's just say that it's cheaper than a mortgage and really cheaper than an apartment. And I was able to do it in a way that I like, that I feel comfortable, that feels like home, me. And when I moved in, I had 4 dogs. So it was me and 4 dogs in 280 square feet. I did lose two of my dogs, so now it's just me and 2 dogs, but we live comfortably in here. I have everything I need, anything I want. Um, and now let's look at our next question. Could you take off work now for recharging? This used to be a no because I was living in an apartment that was costing me at the time, I think it was 1,500 a month. That was not including the electric, the internet, groceries, and other things. So I could say no. But again, 4 years ago, when I decided that it was time for me to get out of that, I now can say yes, I can afford to take the time. I can afford to recharge. I can afford to not have to push myself as hard as I was having to push myself. And I can tell you that my health has greatly improved. And I'm going to be doing a next series, which will probably be on my Patreon about my health journey. It has to be on Patreon because there's some things that I cannot say here on YouTube, but I think that's important. So check out my Patreon channel, and the link will be in the description. Now, are you out of debt and feeling good about your future? Well, this was going to be a yes and a no. No, I am not out of debt. Um, but yes, I feel good about my future. I'm not out of debt, but I have been able to get myself into a position where I'll be able to pay the debt off soon, and I feel that my future is bright. Are you free from worry about rising costs of rent, groceries, education, and healthcare? Again, I can really answer this yes and no. Yes, I am free from it on some of the things. Like I'm free from worried about the cost of rent and education and groceries, but I am not free from the rising cost of healthcare. But that's because I don't have insurance, and the insurance is best that you not have it in my thing. And I will go into that again in a later time. But if you have any questions about anything that I'm talking about today, please leave it in the comments. But I think that as my future continues, I think my healthcare worries will subside. They are almost there now. There's just a few other things that I play the what if game with. But for the most part, yes, I feel free from worry. Do you feel like you own your future or just someone else? Well, I can honestly answer that I feel like I own my future. I feel like I make my decisions. I feel like that I'm living and not surviving. And I know a lot of people now can't say that because of the increased cost and everything. But I really truly do feel like I am living, truly living, and not just surviving. I make decisions because I'm just one person that I can make. And next week I will go into kind of further into that. Are you free? Now, if you asked me 5 years ago in 2020, I would have said, no, I am not free. But today, since buying my little shed, um, and that I converted into my home, I can say that I am free. I don't have to worry about getting evicted. I don't have to worry about having my lights turned off. I don't have to worry about, if I can take a day off to relax, to catch up, to recharge. I don't have to worry about if I'm going to be sick, can I afford to take off? I just do it. And, I think that's the whole purpose of living tiny. Um, and there are other things as well, um, that apologize. That will go ahead. I do apologize for that small pause, but I think that there's a lot of things, and I think that I want you to find your why. I want you to look at this tiny living not as a fad, not as something everybody's doing, but as a lifestyle choice. You are choosing to do this. And I want you to look at this in this introduction and ask yourself those questions that I just asked. I want you to take it seriously. I want you to think about it. I want you to, talk to the family. I want you to talk to friends about this because I think that this is a way that we all can um, really maybe have hope in the future. For me, again, we're going to talk about what my why was. next week in our next installment in this series. And it's again, this is going to be an ongoing thing. So from here on out, I'm going to be talking about tiny living, homesteading, things of that nature. So please let me know if you have anything that you like to hear about. But this is has become more for me a lifestyle that I'm passionate about, that I want to help others achieve. So I hope you'll join me next week as I talk about my why I did it, why I like it, why I feel like this is the reason I am free for the future, why I think that this is what we here in America and across the world need. Um, because I think that I don't think people really think about a lot of the things that I will be talking about next week because they just see it as living very small. They may not have room, but that's not true. Um, I'm going to hopefully bring up some pictures. Maybe my house is a hot mess, but I'll show you some insides of my house. I will show you the outside of my house. And it's really, really, for me, awesome. I can't see myself living in any more than 300 or 400 square feet ever, because I've gotten so used to the space. I've gotten used to my routine. And this is why we did the declutter, to start this channel, because decluttering is the key to being able to potentially live in this tiny house, tiny home, however you want to, small living. And I think that's really, really important. But again, thank you so much for listening. I will have a link to my Patreon below where I'll have the video, and there'll also be my PowerPoint that you can go to. It will be in PDF form that you'll be able to go to, look at, take those questions. And if there's anything that you need, or there's any questions, or there's any um, concerns, or you want me to touch on a specific topic, please let me know because this is not just my channel, it's your channel as we are in this together as a family here on the Jackson Hearth. So, from my hearth to yours, have a great day.